I have the privilege of being in the company for at least 10 to 15 minutes with Her Excellency Joyce Banda. And Your Excellency, I'm going to go straight to the conversation because you and I are due for dinner. What does it take? What does it take to get to State House? What does it take to get to the White House? And you told me it's not about academics. It's not about whether it is the next step in my life because I've achieved everything, I've ticked them all off. So what does it take, ma'am?
Leadership is a love affair. You fall in love with the people you serve and the people fall in love with you.
I've never heard anybody say that.
Yes.
It's a love affair.
It's a love affair. And what that means is that if I love you, then I will protect you with all my life.
True.
And I will not allow anybody to exploit you.
True.
And I will not allow anybody to steal from you. And I will pay any price to demonstrate to you that I love you, because I do. So that's what leadership, for me, that's what leadership is about. What it takes is for you to make a decision. And I'm not talking about State House. In the beginning, what you say is, I can reach out and touch another life. That's how I started.
That's where you started.
And
yes.
I was very fortunate that all the issues I've championed they originated from personal experience. A friend of mine didn't go to school because the family couldn't raise $6, and I made up my mind that I would spend my life educating girls. I stayed in an abusive marriage for 10 years. When I left that marriage, I said I would fight gender-based violence. And that's how I was able to champion the passing of the domestic violence bill. And that's how have been able to educate 6,500 girls.
Yes, and I know you're very proud of that.
And so, for me, in 1984, I went to give birth to my fourth-born child and suffered what they call postpartum hemorrhage. And I've spent my life fighting this unnecessary death of women giving life. In fact, when I was president, we were able to reduce maternal death by 30% in 2 years. So when that happens, when it's about service, when it's about a love affair, it is that work. It is the people you love.
Yes.
While you serve them, they will propel you. They keep pushing. In fact, even for me to go to Parliament, it is the women at grassroots who told me, but that's my constituency.
Go for it, go for it.
Who said, no, go to Parliament and sit where the laws are made.
I see.
Yeah, go and protect us there, because there are laws that negatively impact on us. So you are our mother, so you need to go there. So while this question, what does it take?
What does it take?
Has different answers from different people.
For you?
In my particular case, I started out to serve. And I've just done research. And that research, I was a distinguished fellow at the Woodrow Wilson.
Yeah, I know. You went back to school.
I was looking, just now. I was looking at women's participation in leadership.
Tell me.
But then African women leaders, in particular. But then I bumped into this scientific fact that says leaders are born. Leaders are born.
It's a scientific fact.
Yes, finding. Yeah, they are born with only 30% leadership traits. So 70% has to be added by society.
Okay.
You go to school. You are mentored. Tertiary education.
Yes.
So that makes the 70%. So my question now is, what about the girl child who is the typical in the village?
That's what I was going to ask you.
How do we fish her out of there, mentor her, and give her the 70%? So in my case, what makes me see what other people don't see, I believe, is because I was born with that 30% leadership.
Okay.
And my uncle was telling my father, it's very easy to tell, even among your 4 children, your 3 children, which one of them
is the one
is born with 30% leadership traits.
This is true.
So when my uncle noticed that, he was telling my father in my presence at 8 years old, I don't know what I see in this child.
But something is going on.
But something tells me this child is special. My father that day laughed, but later on, I thank God that all the way he reminded me, remember what Uncle said? You are destined. So you build up your child once you notice that 30%. So for me, I was being prepared for the longest time.
But Your Excellency, it's very easy to prepare a male child. How do you do it with our daughters?
Exactly. Women
because we tell them
interviewed in China, interviewed in in UAE and interviewed in Africa have one thing in common that they will tell you. They will tell you what role their father played. So it's very, very important what your father does to you as you are growing up.
Yes.
Now, the question you and I as African women must ask, maybe you were lucky to have a father who engaged you, who encouraged you, who sent you to school, but who also spoke to you, didn't shut you down.
No. To this day.
To this day.
To this day.
Now, but you must know that our traditions in most of African countries, fathers don't talk to their daughters.
And they don't speak the greatness out to them.
They don't even have access because men are sitting the other side of the house, women are sitting. I'm talking about a typical village.
Yes.
So the mother is sitting with the children, with the daughters, eating last and least.
Last and least.
Yes, then when men are sitting the other side and the only radio in the village is that side. So the boy is benefiting superior diet.
Yes.
Because you take there the best. And then information, men are talking while you're busy working at the back. So that for me is key. In fact, that's what I'll tell my colleagues downstairs. Those of you who are lucky to be bringing up your daughters, can you ensure the father has a role to play?
And calls out her greatness.
And make sure that they are engaged in the bringing up of the girl child. Because that matters. Because each one of us, you talk to Ellen Selif, she'll tell you what her daddy told her and what to say. If you talk to me, my dad, for me, from that day, engaged me all the time. We would sit down and
talk. If you talk to me, I'm looking at you, and that's why I've leaned back. Because people ask me, how are you this confident? But, and some of them think I'm arrogant.
No.
But now that I look back, I'm very clear of the person who consistently said, there's no one like you, and it is my father. And my mother has always told you,
argue.
Yes.
Say, ask questions. Don't just take any abuse.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay. Something else I need to know from you. You were concerned, and I saw this interview in Forbes Africa, that you felt that women leadership across the globe was under attack. You probably did that interview very early 2018. Congress in the US has elected a historical number of women. But even when I said that to you, you told me, it's nice, but Caroline, really? Your big issue is not whether we get into office.
My biggest problem is when we get into office, how do we stay there?
I didn't even realize there was a staying issue.
When we were in Beijing, we agreed, all of us, let's go back home and get into leadership.
And you did.
And we all did. And Africa has done better than most continents.
Thank you.
But if you go back and check,
we don't stay.
It's been tough. And it's global. The leadership under attack is global. You start from Australia, Julia Gillard.
Yes.
She was called a witch, a bitch, a chicken. When you go to Thailand, the Prime Minister, the female Prime Minister of Thailand, she subsidized the price of rice. And the army took over. Because when you subsidize, the government lost money. She said, I don't know how that becomes a case.
How?
Because, because the
if people, I can't feed my people.
The poor are very happy about this. There was a case opened.
Yes.
She was arrested. On bail, now waiting for case. The Minister of Trade and his deputy were arrested to 40 years and 37 years in jail. And that's when she stopped laughing. She thought she realized now it wasn't a joke.
Serious.
2 weeks later, she ran away. And she was sentenced still in her absence. If you go to Brazil, Dilma.
I know.
Dilma, when she was being impeached, they kept saying, but she's not in the corruption case.
Yes.
But the people impeaching her were themselves corrupt.
Yes.
And being tried.
In Kenya, we say corruption fights back.
Yes. Oh, and it does.
Okay.
And it does. So I want you to know that it's not just Africa. And if you check what happened in Mauritius, because we don't have time.
I am actually meeting her in 2 weeks.
Ask her.
I will.
I cried that day. And a scientist, a renowned scientist.
Yes.
Yeah. But she's out. So the issue on our hands should be, can we ever get into leadership? Because now we have shown that we can.
It's to stay.
It is to stay. And we need a whole conference to stay, to discuss how to stay. How to stay.
Final thing, and I know you made it a challenge for me. There are young women across the continent who are going to watch this interview. online. And they're sitting there saying, so politics is a little, we know we're needed in leadership, but politics is a bit, it's a hard one. Yeah, what do you say to us?
Yeah, it is a hard one, but somebody has to do it. And we need women with the kind of capacity you have. Much as I must tell you that the ability to run a nation as a president, it's not so much about academic qualifications. You need them, but it's about wisdom.
Okay.
And as far as I'm concerned, wisdom comes from up there.
All right.
Yes, comes from God. So you will find that some people who are not as educated as others are doing better than those.
Oh, haven't we seen them?
Yeah, you can look around across Africa and say, but it's a better president, but what about that professor? Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, that's that kind of thing. But I think what needs to happen on the continent of Africa is that women must not shy away. Those of us who have made it must open space for younger leaders to come up, and we must be prepared to provide support, because we didn't get any support.
Yes.
We struggled to get here, but it doesn't have to be that difficult for the younger ones coming up.
No.
We needed to create that space. So now, I don't know if you know this, but now there is what we call the African Women Leaders Network, which was informed by the UN Women and the African Union. Yeah, so now what we are insisting on is to have a whole cadre of younger leaders and this level, and then that interaction must continue.
So that we can get to leadership and stay.
And stay. So we can begin to discuss this issue. Yes, we have the ability to get to leadership, and our men on the continent get it.
Oh, they do.
They get it. That not only are we the majority, but we brought into this with the other half. Yeah.
There you go.
So they get it, and they are prepared to support us to get to leadership.
But we must come to the table.
But we must come to the table. We must get there first. And I must say that we have a lot of qualified women on the continent of your age and younger. When I was in office, I took advantage. You know, being president is a very powerful job.
It is.
With a stroke of a pen, you can make or break. So I decided I was going to take advantage of that position to appoint fellow women. So for the first time in Malawi, we had a Chief Justice that was a woman, Head of Civil Service, Solicitor General, Deputy Commissioners, Governors of the Reserve Bank, and 100 appointments, 8 district commissioners, because they are there. It wasn't. They are no longer there.
No, but they were there.
But they are qualified.
They are
so
qualified.
As I told you before, it's about staying.
Not getting.
If you go now there, they are not there.
Oh, I hear you. The challenge is accepted, and count me in. Count me in. I will not run away.
Let's go to work.
Let's go to work.
Let's get to work.
We started today. Thank you, Excellency.
Thank you.
Okay.